What just happened? You heard a sound, right? Now you can look at all of the evidence. The mallet in my hand, the singing bowl, the tone of the sound. You could interview everyone in the room about what they saw and deduce what happened with a high degree of certainty. You could also probably describe what transpired with a high degree of accuracy. However, no matter how good your evidence is and your description, it will not be complete. You'll not be able to fully describe everything that happened, even though it might be a great representation of what happened. Furthermore, even if your description was perfect, it wouldn't be describing reality. It would be describing something that happened in the past based on the artifacts of evidence you gathered. In fact, it takes some amount of time for the sound and light to reach you, so that by the time you even perceive anything, whatever you perceive is already a remnant of a past event. All of the senses in your body can only perceive and collect information that are artifacts of something that already happened. In a certain way, we're all like archeologists trying to understand how we arrived in this moment from the artifacts that we've collected from the past. And just like archaeologists trying to understand the past, our ability to understand the reality of our situation through artifacts is inherently limited. In that regard, we can't really see reality because all of our sensory perceptions are only artifacts of what reality was. This also applies to our most sophisticated science. Science is based on data that we've gathered by taking measurements by our observations. By nature, all of this data is also artifacts of the past. I'm not saying this information isn't useful. It can be very useful in certain circumstances. I just want to point out that while it represents certain truths about reality, it can never be the absolute truth. When you delve deep into quantum physics, all of our experiments and theories suggest that the best way to model the most fundamental aspects of our physical reality is as waves of energy. Every part of an atom is fundamentally made up of waves of energy. This means everything we think is physical is not actually solid. A wave is just an excitation of something else. So what is that thing being excited? Other scientific experiments suggest that the fundamental wave might be composed of various types of particles. However, these particles are just excitations of the quantum field. In other words, they're just different forms that a wave makes. A single wave is transitory and impermanent, like a wave in the ocean. A wave appears in a certain shape, and then it disappears as if it never existed. Measuring a particle is like taking a picture of a wave. It's an artifact of the past. We all know that the waves are not a substance or a substrate that makes up the ocean. If a particle is like a wave on the ocean, it's not really a fundamental thing. It's just the result of something that the thing does. It's kind of like when I make a fist with my hand. The fist is just a description of the shape of my hand. When I change the shape of my hand, the fist disappears. So in this analogy, what is the hand that makes the wave? The most precise thing we can say about the fundamental aspect of our reality is that it is a wave. But what is it a wave of? Our understanding of our reality is like trying to understand the ocean by looking at the waves on the surface. Waves of energy appear on the surface of our reality, but what is below the surface is actually the substance of our reality. We know what makes up the ocean and how many different things go on below the surface, but what makes up the ocean of our reality? This also begs the question, if everything we're perceiving is the result of a wave of energy, what makes the wave? What makes the initial excitation? Where does all of this potential energy originate? This is fundamentally the same question I asked you at the beginning of class about the sound wave of the singing bowl. What makes the wave? All of our evidence points to one thing. However, if you insist that this thing is physical, you'll always reach a dead end in your investigation. Where did that sound wave start? Did the bowl start the vibration of the molecules? Did the mallet start the vibration of the bowl? Was my hand moving the mallet to hit the bowl what started everything? Where did all of this potential for the sound originate from? All of the potential for that sound originated in my mind. My mind was the source of the excitation of that sound wave. On the other end, your mind observed the sound. It's impossible to account for that sound in an objective way without a mind on both ends of that equation. Our best proven scientific experiments in mathematics tell us that our physical reality is fundamentally composed of waves. Just like the sound waves, it's impossible to explain the origin or the observation of these waves without a mind. If you're stuck in a physicalist or materialist paradigm, it might be nearly impossible to understand how the mind could be the fundamental origin of everything physical. How could you account for what seems to be objective reality? What does it mean to be objective? You need at least two subjective observations that agree with each other to even suggest that something is objective. This means that at least you and I need to agree that what we observed is something that we consider real. In science, you need to have consistent data from multiple sources of observational experiments to gain a broad consensus about how to interpret this information. Our science is constantly rewriting the narrative about what is objective reality. It started out by saying that reality is composed of atoms. Now it's waves and particles. Our explanation is constantly evolving and improving, but it's still far away from an objective explanation. To some degree, all of this is relative, and it really depends on your perspective. Most people typically evaluate the quality of information based on how reliable it is in their lives. If the science and resulting technology helps us accomplish our goals and makes predictions about what will happen, we think it's real. I agree with the utility of this approach, but we have to keep in mind that this perspective is still just a model that helps us understand reality. However, due to the inherent limitations of our measurements and observations, it can never fully explain reality. We can only measure things that have existed or already happened. If we don't acknowledge this, it will limit us from understanding the full potential of what is possible. In order to make new discoveries and scientific breakthroughs, we need to look beyond what we already know. In order to do this, we need to understand what is potentially possible. And we need to understand the source of our potential. The potential for that sound wave originated in my mind. So to understand the potential new waves of possibility, it would behoove us to be able to understand the mind at large. The more information we have, the more we share our perspectives, the better we can understand our reality. You can see clearly with one eye, but in order to perceive depth, you need to have two eyes with different perspectives. The more perspectives and senses you have, the deeper your understanding of reality becomes. But you'll never be able to understand the full depth of our reality without knowing every possible perspective. When you perceive all perspectives from one mind, that is getting enlightenment. At that point, there's no subject and no object, only mind. The mind contains everything we know, yet it holds nothing. It's the source of potential for everything that exists, but it only exists as emptiness. As humans, we fill the emptiness of our minds with conceptual thinking. By naming and labeling things, it simplifies reality in a way that makes it easier to comprehend. This allows us to navigate our world more efficiently. However, this conceptual thinking hides the truth of our reality. Names and labels are just symbolic artifacts. As soon as you let go of your conceptual thinking, you'll get enlightenment, and you'll see the truth. When that happens, nothing will change except your perception. This sounds simple, but it's difficult for most people to let go of their conceptual thinking because we're attached to our own perspectives. The point of Zen practice is to help us let go of our conceptual thinking. This is why we use koans in meditation. When you're ready to let go of your preconceptions, ask yourself the koan, what is the mind? Don't stop seeking the answer until you understand 100% without any doubt. You can also use sitting and moving meditation to help you let go of your conceptual thinking. You can practice the sitting meditation we did at the beginning of class by doing a little bit each day. You can also do moving meditation by treating everything you're doing as if it's your mantra. When you're going about your day, try to remain focused on whatever you're doing without letting your mind wander off into your thoughts. If you do this, it will help you keep your mind clear. If you keep practicing sitting and moving meditation, it will help you let go of your attachments to your preconceived notions and opinions so that you can see things for what they really are. When your mind is completely clear and empty, it will be completely still, like water, without any waves or ripples. When your mind is still, you'll be able to see into the depths of reality and understand the truth. I wish you good luck in your journey.